to stay warm. You're so afraid of my affections, you could drown in your own storm. There's no need for reservation, no one else can see. After some examination, man, I think that you've got what I need. It's really alright. It's really alright. It's really alright if you don't love me. What's that look of consternation? I'm completely in control. So if you're thinking of evasion, there's something you should know. Well, I wouldn't say I own you, but you're a lover without liberty. Which would you rather face, that cold-hearted landscape or me? What's that look of consternation? I'm completely in control. So, if you're thinking of evasion, there's something you should know. Well, I wouldn't say I own you, but you're a lover without liberty. Which would you rather face, that cold-hearted landscape or me? And welcome back. Or just welcome. I'm back. Okay, and I am back with something new, and something new is always delicious to try. So I got the primary set by Royal Langnickel. Royal Langnickel used to make some really nice brushes, and I used to sell those brushes. So when I saw this set so cheap, I was kind of like, it's always a chance. But then I saw, oh, it's got the Royal name on it. I will try it. So if you're interested in acrylic ink, this set is available right now at Walmart for about $13, $12 or $13. It is a deal, even if they are only half as good as something like a Liquitex. They are also a fraction of the price of Liquitex or anybody else right now. I went looking. Of course, there's always something left to be desired in the packaging, but are you guys like glued in there? Is this a trick set? Yes, it is kind of glued in there. Anyway, I was saying, even if it's only 50% of the concentration, it is still like a fourth of the price. You do make out, and you can work with it if you can figure out how to get it out of the packaging. Now, in case this is a vacuum problem. Yeah, the danger of these X-Acto knives always get loose. This is a little air in from that pocket behind. That might help me a little. Apparently not a huge amount. So I guess I'm going to have to destroy this holder, which this might be the reason this doesn't cost very much. That'd be a terrible reason for this to get down to that price range. Now I know that even if these people make an entire line, you know, many more colors, Walmart is not in a position to give that much space. Oh, please tell me I didn't cut that. I did. Alright, that's not off to a good start. I will have to repair this. Okay. Yep, well, we'll do it this way. Yeah, you're going to have to dry a little bit. Now, I don't usually use the droppers. I'm not too concerned about that, but this is kind of a weird thing. I have never run into this in all the years of selling art supplies. So, yeah. Oh, I am surprised, to say the least. Free, you're free. Okay, it's got some pigment sitting on the bottom. That is definitely a good sign. Now, if I had to ruin a dropper, I'm glad it was with the white. Now, I'd say, oh, there must be a trick to this. I don't think so, actually. The only thing I could think of that would have been a trick was to break suction back here, and I did that and it didn't do anything. Oinkness! Aloha! Duck there. Hi. Ah, okay. So this has already been interesting. All right. Well, I guess I can put this in the recycler. Now, the sound in the background is a fan. It's going to get a lot worse tomorrow. We are expected to see temperatures of like 90 degrees this week. 90. 90. No, it's not natural or anywhere close to normal. Although it might be normal in the tropics, it's not normal for March, April, or May here. No, definitely not. Not even looking forward into May is it normal. At the best, you can say the month after, June, the end of May, beginning of June. Okay, freaky days. But this is New England. And in New England, No. No. Okay, so this was the big prize. Yes, climate change is serious. Excuse me. I don't know what this is, so I am expecting another art set. This doesn't seem to weigh anything. Like I would expect 10 small bottles to weigh. So I'm behind the camera right now because I just don't have any more room over there. My God, it is. Look at that. Another freaky little thing. Okay, this is set number 2. This is 10 bottles of pigmented calligraphy ink. Yeah, I think the weather machine broke back in the days of Get Smart. Okay, so we have the acrylic inks, which are very good deal. Available only at this price in the primary set. This is a Speedball calligraphy ink palette kit. It has some killer stuff which will be very much fun to play with. A half an ounce of each, and nice wide jar because you need to be able to dip your pen in it. Look at that. Yes, I'll put them all back, but I want to see them all. Look at that color. We used to call that seafoam green. And then there was a, let's see, a famous bicycle brand came out with that. It was like their classic color, and I forget what they called it, like Celeste green. I mean, it was one of those things, and boy, the arguments over that. It's not seafoam, it's whatever. All right, so we have, let's take a look. More white. Oh, nice. I like to have an earth tone. I have to mix my own with the primaries, and of course that's possible. You can make anything out of the primaries. Almost anything. Close enough, what I need. All right, so there we go. Now, their yellow is definitely not just a yellow. This is gold. Totally gold. Nice to have a green. All right. All right, so let me see. We need our primary. Come here, gold. And our tertiary colors. There is no orange, but we can put the brown there. And the purple. Well, that's another one. And ta-da. And black and white. And silver. Alright, so that's pretty groovy. This was a very, very affordable experiment. And I'm saying that as a complete cheapskate because, you know, I have to watch the pennies. It was a deal. Now, of course, if I paint with them and they just fall off the canvas, then it's not a deal. But they've got an acrylic matrix, which means it should not fall. It should stick very nicely. And we're going to test that out As you notice, I have the dip pen at the ready. Beautiful clouds, and I hope you're taking lots of pictures. It's one of my favorite camera subject matter. As a matter of fact, I went to a gallery in Asheville, and they had my dream on their wall. And I knew that from where I lived at that time, I could blow away the skies with where I was getting my pictures from. It was like, there's no beating this. These are just amazing. It was the inland version of being in Hawaii, okay? Just amazing, amazing skies. And for the first few years, we had them every night, almost every night. So I had a lot of time to do what I was thinking I was doing. I got an amazing camera for the time, an early digital camera. And it promised so many megapixels, and it should be enlarged to this much, and it can go this. Anyway, I'm thinking, when I look at it, it says, because I didn't know about it yet, it said that it could be enlarged without pixelation, anyway, 33 inches wide. And I'm thinking, if I could make a print 33 inches wide, that would be like one single piece of my favorite Arches watercolor paper, like 300, 400 pound watercolor paper. And I could print it on that, and I could fill a gallery with the stuff that I'm catching. Well, it turned out that after all the investment in the camera, it was not anywhere near what it needed to be. It needed to be like 250 pixels, not 5. So it was a bummer. All of my beautiful and amazing photographs ended up being like that when they were viewed properly. It's like, so I will never let that happen again. Anyway, okay, so we have this beautiful, beautiful blue stuck to my table. La table. Now, Maui, even if you're using your camera, your pictures right now of the sky will be reproducible in a larger format than mine were way back when. Oh, look at that. I'm getting multiple pictures. I know it's so depressing. I know that's happened to you as well, because we're both into taking pictures, and yeah, they lead you to believe when you're first picking it out that, oh yeah, you can enlarge this all you want. I say, yeah. Excuse me. As large as you want means nothing bigger than what your printer can do. So you really need a good camera if you're gonna. Oh, there it is. If you're gonna turn them into like large format prints. When I was in Florida, we went to a gallery, and it had some paintings. I liked everything that was there pretty much. Not that I would buy everything that was there, but I liked what they had, and I thought, well, I'd be comfortable putting my stuff here. But one of the things that I really was surprised with was a lot of the canvases, the gallery wrap, they were photographs. They were photographs printed on canvas and then wrapped. It's like, oh, and thank you. All the windows that I can open are open, and if I open up my front door, the hallway right now is like, it blows the door open, because we have one window open in the hallway. It's bizarre. Anyway, I am pleased to say I'm having coffee. I'm pleased because I thought I didn't get it. I got my grocery delivery, and I thought I went through everything except for one bag that had 4 boxes of cornbread mix. I'm going to doctor it up and make some muffins for the crowd. I thought it was more my budget, you know, it was on sale for 68 cents a box. So I got 4 boxes. Anyway, that was sitting on the floor, but everything else I put away, and I'm going through, well, they made 3 mistakes. Like, I ordered fresh dill and broccolini, which is very sweet. And instead I got rapini, which is bitter as, for, you know what I mean, really bitter greens. And I do like it, but I have to be in the mood for those bitters and also be planning a fatty meal, like a steak or something with fat. So that was wrong. My dill was, they gave me scallions instead, you know, green onions. And, oh, the organic bananas I ordered were not organic. So those were clear, but then I made the mistake when I called to say, eh. If I could have called the driver, I would have had him look at another bag, you know, and probably would have found my stuff. In any case, I got credited for that. Plus, I thought I was missing a box of coffee, instant coffee. I found it, and I just had them charge me for it because I would have been too guilty about it. Ah. My phone is making sounds. Yeah. Okay, I'll have to get back that. You're having coffee too. And it's 2:22, my magic number. Well, you know, I can't do coffee very often, but today was let's have this coffee. I've been trying to get this particular instant coffee now for weeks. I bought the wrong one twice. I'm not sure the second time if I ordered the wrong one and they sent, or I ordered the right one and they sent the wrong one. You wouldn't think I would make the same mistake 2 times in a row, but it's possible. In any case, I kept them, of course, because I definitely, well, ordered coffee. But then I really wanted a cup of coffee that wasn't, you know, brewed from scratch. And then the right one did come, so I had to have it. And why am I getting beepies? Some of my Walmart items were delivered. Yes, they were. Thank you. Anyway, enough degriping. I got my coffee. I'm happy. I whipped up the half and half, and it 2 seconds. It's like super whip. If you go too long, it breaks it down and it just dissolves in your cup fast. But look at that. That's a lot of foamage still here, and it's been like 20 minutes. Actually, it's been more than that, because I made it before I started the show. So it's, that foam is still sitting there. My lucky day when it comes to foamage. All right. I do have something here. I was gonna. Yeah, I don't think so. When they pull the tooth, they don't make anything. They only make money if you're getting a crown. So you didn't put anybody through school. You helped pay the light bill. Sorry you lost a tooth. I am very concerned right now about going to the dentist. I've been holding off on it because I don't expect to hear good news. I have to change my expectations. Because last I was actually checked, I just had one little cavity, but I've ignored that cavity. Okay. You matter. Yes, we're doing a year of positive thinking. We're doing today. You matter. You are heard. You are seen. Your life, your stories, and your experiences matter, perhaps more than you know. Spread them far and wide. You have experienced things. Your experiences can shed light on the paths of others. Do not discard your experiences. All right. Boy, did you luck out. That's nice. See? Things are always working out for you. That's awesome. Congratulations. 50% discount. It's okay. I read Taiwanese as well as write it. See? There are good people. Usually, good luck when you're dealing with dentists. The pain in dentistry these days is only in the bill. They manage other stuff pretty well. Yeah, this is definitely pigmented. I like that. No, I'm not using that color. Well, we could try something. No, but you have a lifetime of the way you've been thinking behind you. And you already had a bad tooth before you went to the dentist. So you got a break, and I'd be grateful and focusing on what you're grateful for instead of bitching about what you were not wise enough to deal with earlier. Well, you lucked out, man. I'd be grateful and focus on that because he didn't have to do that. Apparently, he liked you. So I'd say that's working out because you may need to see him again. And wouldn't it be nice to walk into the office of someone who is seeing you more like, hey, my compadre. Well, I hope he didn't hear you either. I had a wonderful dentist in California. She was amazing, but when she messed up, she messed up. But she always took responsibility for it. All right, let's see what happens when I put blue on blue. You're getting a little too enthusiastic. Not a bad color. Yeah, usually once you start taking care of your teeth, there's more than one thing to take care of. If you have been trying to ignore them a while. I was staying on top of things until I moved up here. And then I had to deal with that root canal. I'm lucky the tooth is still in my head. The crown, that is. I was very fortunate that he, see, I also got a deal. He wanted a 3D x-ray, and my insurance would not cover it. And I said, look, I appreciate the awesomeness of a 3D x-ray. I really do. And if I was a doctor or a dentist, I would want that too. But I really don't have the money for it. I can't pay it. It's, I don't know, $200 or $300. I don't remember now, but it was way out of the budget, way out. And in the end, he wanted it so badly, he felt that it was really going to be useful in my case. So he did it anyway and didn't charge me. Because he was a good dentist. Periodontist. No, this, what is it when you just root canals? I forget. Endodontist? In any case, I was grateful, and it was fascinating to get a 3D view of your mouth. I love how they're doing x-rays now. Reusable devices rather than film. Of course, those of us who used to collect the film for the silver, we're out of luck now. That is kind of like a phthalo blue, which is what this background is. I think. No, this is ultramarine. No. Phthalo. There we go. We need some of that as well. Dentists are people too. I wish I had a brayer. I need to get one. I haven't had one in a long time. When I gave up all my supplies for linoleum block printing and silk screening, maybe I should have put water in this balloon. I watched something weird yesterday. Browsing, animal videos. I came across a guy with some pet piranha. Getting ready to feed them something they're not used to getting, which was a skin from the salmon with a bunch of the salmon still stuck to it, but not like a whole fillet. Yeah, it's problem weather. Weather like this is what causes weird storms. Don't you go anywhere. You could be a problem until you're dry. Alright, I have to stand up and see how this is going. Well, I do know that right now I could turn the air conditioner on and use it, but AC runs up the electric bill super fast. I'm so glad I have an air fryer because at least I don't have to worry about using a lot of electricity to cook. Between the air fryer and just using one burner, my electric bills are pretty reasonable. But once the air conditioner goes on, but we got a perk in our insurance this year. I don't know if we'll keep it, but I can apply my perk to my electric bill once a month. Ah, okay, that's good. And that could be exactly what keeps me alive this summer. Because you guys, you do remember, I'm sure, how noisy it gets in here, because after all, there's the studio and there is the only place in the entire apartment that I can have AC, and it's built into the wall. So, you know, no options. That fan way over there is what makes some of the cooler air get into my bedroom so I can sleep at night. Now, I'm not bitching. I'm not. I will manage, but I'm just saying it's going to be noisy, guys, and I'm sorry about that. There really won't be anything I can do about it other than either not broadcast only in the middle of the night, even though that will probably not make a difference, because once this place on the roof gets hot, it's hot. Oh yeah, the piranha. That's a weird channel. He started off, the piranha owner, he wanted to see, he cut himself. He thought, let's see if a drop of blood starts anything. It didn't. He might have a few ex-wives with pets like that. If he's got a few ex-wives, he deserves to be sleeping with the fishes. Which is what he might be doing as it is. Let's try a little bit more of this dark blue. So, it's pretty dense. How are you doing? Oh, gotta put more on ya. can't believe I did that. But I can. But I've got plenty of white. And worst comes to worst, I can transfer that into another little bottle or jar. Alright, we've got the dark blue. I don't think that's enough. Let's get some lighter blue. I think back in the Western days, husbands and wives, I am sure, would come up missing when you have no witnesses. Maybe so. I mean, that happens now. However, in those days, it was even more important for people to stick together because you relied on someone to watch your back, protect what you'd gotten, etc. But the idea that murder would have happened, shit, that happens down south all the time. As I say, don't go looking in empty wells. Oh no, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. Somebody, they had a relative, they've been looking for them. Now they have to have some reason to believe the story. It was not just an insanely lawless place. If a mountain lion went after a human, there'd be plenty left. They don't drag them off, and they don't eat all of it. So, if you had the mountain lion excuse, you better be ready to show the body to the sheriff. And all the blood and the clothes. But I would not be sitting here focusing on how to kill people in the old days. Because, like, I don't know what that manifests in your current life, for better or worse. So you have somebody leaving you little souvenirs for the holidays, huh? How long did it take to accumulate all those things on your door? Is that like one... Yeah, well, you want to think about that because it's your future. You are creating your future. What do you want? When we understand that we are our creators, we are the creator, we are the attractor and the transmitter, we have to make better choices for ourselves. That's what I say, if you want to get something that's way different than what you're used to having, then you have to become a different person. You have to change. Literally. Still be you, but you have to change how you deal with things or how you think about things, so that you can see what is toxic to you that you maintain just out of habit or not understanding, you know, what you're creating. And it's not like you're the only person that does that. Obviously, this is something everybody has to deal with. We get attracted to certain things, whether we understand what we're doing or not. These things have a way of manifesting in our lives. They just... You're not going to be able to manifest a certain kind of evil that's made up, like an X-Man bad guy or something. That you can't do. But you can manifest people entering your life with similar negative characteristics. Not because you don't know what you're talking about or thinking about, but because every one of these aspects in a personality is a vibration. So when we're thinking about things, that vibration is what is being activated, not our conscious decision to attract something crappy. Nobody wants to attract crappy things. And yet, we love being spooked and pranked, and we watch it happening to other people. We love horror genres. And again, this is not, I'm not being critical for what people like, because everybody likes different things. That's what makes the world so interesting. But if those people are having issues that they can't figure with the root, you know, where's the root? Or how come they're attracting more of this vibe than that? Sometimes it turns out to be something completely you don't think about it. We do things all the time that we just don't think about, and those sneaky little things can cause us a lot of disruption. As I said, that's why I'm so picky about what I put in my head. I don't cut myself off from everything, but there are certain things I know. I know me well enough to know that, I'm going to have a reaction if I think about that. I know it's not real, but my little kid inside has a problem with that. And other people, definitely different from me. Their wiring is different. So there, it's not a matter of what the material is, it's but how you digest it, you know, emotionally, vibrationally. One of my Facebook friends writes and does makeup for horror stuff. Now, knowing some of this guy's sad history, there are some things I, just on the surface, I would go, well, I don't know why he wants to include these kinds of things in his consciousness or create these things, because it's fucking dark. But everybody's got something, you know, they're activating for their own purposes, and no one from the outside can tell what it is. I can only stand here on the outside and say, if you're suffering, you got a problem. That's where you want to change things. Meg, hello. 2 years of door collecting. Well, I noticed that you had Christmas and Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day, are all there together. Meg, I wanted to ask you a question about your training as a what's the word? Flight attendant. Do the flight attendants get trained in emergency codes and stuff, like if the pilot and co-pilot blacked out or got poisoned or some weird shit? I mean, now this comes from Rich because he's interested in becoming a pilot, and he is he's studying what he can without actually being in a flight school at this time. But he's also looking into what's the next, the different steps. So he's been doing The Sims, flying that way, and he likes to challenge himself with, you know, challenging scenarios. And there were a couple of crashes because of a couple of people getting stuck with their instrumentality and not being able to pull out of a stall, or didn't recognize it in time or something like that. Anyway, so he's practiced pulling out of a stall. Okay. Cool. I figured you know they would have everybody have each other's back, because, well, just because there's always a possibility for something unforeseen. That's what unforeseen means, right? I mean, things you haven't dealt with before. I would assume that they would try to come up with any possible scenarios just to walk people through it, you know, because of people being people and the just in cases. It's like, before all of this COVID shit, I don't think that they had any big news about how many times did a bunch of attendants have to duct tape somebody into their seat because they were drunk and violent and basically assholes no matter what state they were in. I mean, duct tape 101 might have to be incorporated into your training. It's all right, guys. This asshole acts up. You get the duct tape A, I get the B. Crisscross, there, no more problem. I hate to see people taking crap from morons. Ah, right. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. It seems like the smartest way to handle it. You have to have extra people because, you know, you can't call back something once it starts. Well, I guess some can, but some can't. Oh, that's great. And hopefully there will never, ever be a circumstance where you'd have to know. And there's less of a possibility of you needing that because of all of the protections in scanning, you know, screening people before they get on the plane. And I think in a lot of cases, you can pretty much identify the future assholes by how they are behaving while they're waiting to get on board. I mean, I've always noticed which people were going to be problems or just irritating. There's also that. Now, you already know I'm one of those people that like to pick up something for the flight crews, right? Like a box of donuts. But I would make my own stuff if I could get it through. You know, it's like, I'm flying today, I will make sure I've got a dozen cupcakes or something, or a cake. Oh, I've heard that as well. A pilot's license does not give them class. Well, I hope that for your entire career that you only have to deal with the not assholes. Some with personal moral codes and all. I don't know if you can see what I'm seeing. Okay, what I'm trying to get is a blue background, but I want it to be kind of like underwater, so there will be other things introduced. Oh, let me show you this, Meg. Okay, this was leftover ink, one of those projects. I thought I'd go into this page. Ah, okay. Well, that's good to know. I mean, I guess that is risky. But we can't get it homemade stuff anyway because you have to go through security and they take anything that's edible or liquid. unless it's wrapped. So I can appreciate that. But yeah, sometimes the hardest thing to do is find a damn donut shop that's near your gate. The last time I went and got some donuts, it was a journey, and I barely made it back to my gate because of all the time it took to get a stupid dozen of donuts. But it's worth it. Those people, when I got on, they looked so tired to start with. I think they needed a little sugar. Ah. Well, thank you. I do okay in the baking department. I've just gotten, I was just given a cake mix and a frosting, and I got asked if I would bake a birthday cake for Friday morning. Of course I said yes. So this is what happened by accident, but it turned out to be perfect. This is the map of Gazebo, which features very heavily in, well, the second and now coming up the third book of Nomaris. So you notice that it's pink. The sand was turned pink, which worked out really well because I did this painting, and it's like, oh, well, we're back to Nomaris, but we're on Gazebo. Look at all the pink sand, the pink flowers, the, well, blue water. And Oinkness, I have eaten some of your goodies. I appreciate the things that you have sent. But anything milk chocolate, I share. It looks peaceful, doesn't it? I don't know what else to do with it, but it's everybody that looked at it said, "Oh yeah, that's an island. It looks like an island." And it's like, it is an island. All right. So, of course, since I've created Nomaris, it becomes more and more beautiful every time I work on it. So this will be the overview. The magic carpet, which is the central aspect of this third book. It gets lost here, but it goes underwater. A rift happens because of all of the extra magic, and then it's found here eventually. I can't tell you how, but until it's found, a lot of crap happens, including all of the sand turning pink, because it's a magic carpet, obviously, but Gazebo is an island that is invisible because of all of the magic around it. So, oh yeah, Meg, you were reading that. Did you ever get through the whole book? Which I know I shouldn't put you on the spot. I'm always curious, though, if someone liked it or not. Because my style is not, well, my style of talking and my regular writing is not the same as my fantasy story writing. So I don't know. My cousin loved how well written my story was, but she's not into fantasy. So I could appreciate, that. I know you like fantasy, though, but it's not necessarily my style. I do appreciate you investing in me. If I make any royalties this year, it'll be because of what you... Okay, the second one is way faster. It's shorter and way faster. The story it's more like a movie. So the third book, I'm planning on being the same kind of a pace as the second book. First book is more to introduce people to everything Nomaris. The dragon elders, what they're about, the other species, what they're about. First major crisis in 10,000 years for Nomaris. So all of that's covered in the first book. So it's a little bit more involved. It's got more love story stuff going on. Different not timelines, different storylines. But then the second one is very clear. It's all bam, 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 in the same place. All happens on Nomaris rather than going back and forth between Earth and Nomaris like the first book. And the third book is starting on the Gazebo, which is hidden, but it's on Nomaris. And then that one has to go to Earth. I can't tell you why, but it makes a trip to Earth. So we do end up doing the back and forth between planets, which gives us an opportunity to visit some of our favorite characters from the first book. Oh no! Oh no! And you get a free Kindle copy when you buy a hard copy. Oh well, oh dear. Could you return one? Or were they both Kindles? Or, I mean, I'm sorry you did that, but thank you. Well, the second, I'm really proud of the second one because of how it poured out of me, like 8 hours of writing a day for 3 months. And it wasn't like it was hard, it just poured out. But what I'm most proud about with the second book is people who never read fantasy read it, and they were blown away by it. And that was like, somebody I know, she bought the book to support me. That was it. But then she started reading it, and she couldn't put it down. And that was when I was like, I did it, finally, okay, I wrote something. Because if you can't put it down, obviously that's the best review you can get. So, yeah, she was really psyched about it. Someone else was really psyched about it. It's like, all right, all right. But the first book is more difficult, you know, lengthwise, and it's got different storylines that are all interwoven, and if you take too long a break from reading it in the first book, then it's easy to lose track and have to start over. In fact, I had to do that when I was writing it. Okay, now we're actually not going to do it on this one. This is going to have to be set aside to thoroughly dry. But now we have an idea. The acrylic inks, which are as thin as water but are pigmented, that left shiny. They dried shiny. And then all of the other acrylic that has a lot of gel medium, dried flat. So we're just going to make sure that everything works chemically by making sure it's all dry before I come back to it. And we do have something else I want to try that pen on. Oh, Meg, I don't know if you saw this. I finished this the other day, finally. There we go, kind of. So I don't have an actual name for this. I just think of it as a very hot day. Who was it? Was it you that said Miami? Somebody said something like Miami. I thought, oh yeah, my sister sent a picture of Miami, and I can see that. So I have the gold melting from the sun, dripping down the trees, puddling up. I'm happy with it. I just need to frame it. Oh, so that was you, okay. Good, I'm glad I'm not completely brain dead. Okay, so this is where I left off. Now, I keep thinking I was here yesterday, but I wasn't. I tried to get back here yesterday, and I just got really tired, I guess, because I've had a workout the day before, and I was feeling it yesterday. And today I did my first Zumba class. Thank you for telling me how it's pronounced. So although it was done sitting in the chair style and also for beginners, I felt it. And there are definitely some moves I cannot do yet and will never be able to do because I have a rod in my back. But it was a good workout. I put a couple of 1-pound weights on my ankles, well, one each, and it was great. It was great. And then after we were done with the class, which was a half an hour, and with the music, you know, it goes fast, we went for a walk around the back parking lot where everything is blooming. Lots of azalea, and the rhododendrons are just started. Forsythia, daffodils, lots of different kinds of daffodils. Anyway, we walked back there, and there's a tree way back, not on this property, but our adjoining property. And it looks like a flowering pear. I don't know what it is, but it's fragrant. It's definitely not what I normally have seen at this time of year, like crabapple or what's the other, that white one, dogwood. It's not a dogwood. So it was nice to just cool off. That we have a lot of wind right now, so we just all walked around, and it was great. And I gotta tell you, Joyce, she's 80, or just turned 81, and she's got arthritis. Well, you know, I've got scoliosis, so my spine is like a helix. Okay, it's twisted. She, instead of having a twist like I have, where you look like you're upright, you know, I can stand fairly upright, and with the right position and clothing, I can completely disguise my scoliosis. Joyce cannot. Joyce is like a little crab. She has, her scoliosis went completely, like, you know, a dowager's hump where your spine starts to go like this. Well, she is like completely, she's like a little crab, and she has to move around mostly with her wheelchair. But I gotta tell you, watching her at this, it's only the second Zumba class, she was fierce. She was fierce. I'm like, holy shit, she's doing that better than I can. So I was impressed. She was like throwing herself into it. It's like, go Joyce. So that was nice. And I've been kind of pushy with everybody. Everyone I meet, I'm asking them, are you joining us today for the Zumba class? Or are you joining us today for the seated exercise class? So I got a couple of extra people to come. Oh, yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, you really want to strengthen your core, or you're going to end up with sciatic nerve issues. I can tell you one exercise you can do while you're walking. You can't do it very much, but you do it every time you walk, and you will strengthen it. It's the only thing that got rid of the sciatic nerve pain for me, and it's like a cure for sciatic nerve pain. I do not understand why people are being drugged when they can do this exercise. Definitely your inner Joyce. It's really a simple thing. This chiropractor discovered this in Africa when she went to Africa to find out why these people who were carrying weights on their heads were not suffering with scoliosis and sciatic nerve problems. And she couldn't understand that, because with all of her studies and everything, you know, in America that she's been doing, it was like getting nowhere. People were still ending up with sciatic nerve problems. She discovered that one of the reasons is their butts are different. Their spines do not look like American spines. They don't have the same curvature that we have. And part of it is because their cores are super strong. They're super strong because of the way they walk. Every time they take a step, they squeeze that butt cheek. Now, you might have heard me talking about this before. It's pretty remarkable how fast it works. So when you walk, you might be able to only do like 10 squeezes on each side, and then you'll probably forget about it, because if you feel it, and it slows your pace down a little bit, but it's not that bad. You do that 3 days in a row. Day 3, you are going to know exactly which muscles you're strengthening, and it's the gluteus minimus. It's not your outside butt, it's the inner butt. And when you make that strong, it helps hold your core up, and it's just amazing. Also, if you do it all the time, it will raise your butt, so you'll have more of an apple-shaped butt, which is something I'm interested in getting again, because I used to have a nice butt. But like I told you, when I turned 59, I turned around the mirror, it was gone. It just like gone. I don't know where my butt went, but then not long after, I found it in the front. Still a problem. But yeah, it is definitely a fun exercise. Anything with music, you get my attention. I am very interested in it. I am very interested in it. I'm so out of shape right now, especially after the last month of doing nothing. So I am excited about doing this a little at a time. Also, I made a deal with Alan, our autistic neighbor. He is walking twice a day for 20 minutes. It's not far at all. 20 minutes turns out to be from one bus stop to the next and back. So we have a deal on days that there is not an exercise class. I will go on the 11 o'clock walk with him, so I make sure I'm getting some steps in. I'm very much interested in getting stronger again. When I started doing that butt exercise, I noticed even though I was not doing a bunch of other exercises at the time, it was a remarkable improvement in pain for my lower back. It's like, okay, we're definitely going in the right direction. It just takes a little practice, but like I said, if you just do it for a minute every day, holy Hannah, you're going to know the difference. You're going to see it, and that'll help you stand up more. Also, when you have to lean forward and pull things, that miserable little motion. All right. Oh dear, wait a second. I see two problems. One, it's right there. Now, another thing I'm noticing is this stuff dries quickly, even on glass. So let's see how this works. Come on, you can do it. Come on. It doesn't want to do it on canvas. Okay, all right. Let's not ruin the pen. Yeah, I'll say, after learning about that exercise, I cannot tell you how pissed off I was with the years of physical therapy that I had to go through. It's like every year I ended up back in physical therapy, and it was every year because I would use up all of my year's worth in physical therapy, and then I'd have to wait until I could get back again and start a new year. Nobody ever told me about that exercise, and like I said, it did not take long, maybe a week of doing it every day, just a little bit, that I started noticing the difference. I mean, a week is not a lot. And when you consider all the other exercises they had me doing that ended up causing me more pain. Like, I was all excited about those exercise bands. I know what you're talking about there, Doc. Because I got some from physical therapy. And one of the exercises was to, and I'm sure everybody's had to do this at some point, supposedly this is to make me stronger in the back and hips, but it's when you lay on your back and you keep your neck, your knees crooked, and then you put a band around the top of your knees fairly tightly, and then the exercise is pushing your knees, pulling them apart, right? Hello, Justin. That little exercise of trying to pull my knees apart caused me so much agony in my hips. My hips have messed up bursa sacs after all these years of walking lopsided, and it just aggravated the hell out of that. And I was so disappointed because I was really psyched about using those bands. It's like, okay, they have different tensions, you can do this, you can adjust it. I'm like, yeah, let's go. It is no good. Is your inner joist like my inner Lois? If it's Lois Lane, I don't know. Joyce is one of the residents here who is, her spine is so curled with the arthritis, she's like a little crab woman, and she pretty much lives in her wheelchair. And she's 81, and today she was doing the Zumba class. The Zumba class is beginners, but it's sitting down, and it's a half an hour of, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. And I learned how uncoordinated I am today. Anyway, Joyce was like, she was gangster. Or is it gangsta? She was amazing. Anyone for husbands everywhere. Not tonight, honey. My bursts of sex are locked up. They don't lock up. They just go on fire. That's why I wear a lidocaine patch most of the time on my left hip, because that one is like so shot. It's like always hot. So, yeah. And by the way, that hemp stick that your wife sent me does help with that. It's just, I have to use that just before a shower, because I can't put a patch on the next day unless that's thoroughly scrubbed off. Torso torsions, yeah, contortions. But today, all right, there's one of the motions is you use both arms, right? Both arms are doing the same thing, right? Look, right, like I couldn't do that. My arms do their own thing. I was like, what is wrong with you? I really had to focus. Hem pem pare. Ah, yes. It sounds like a good idea. So I pushed through. I loved it. Clearly, I need a lot of practice. I like the little marching things, you know, with your tippy toes. I put weights on my ankles, and it was not easy for me. But I love that, because now I know, without having to write things down, I will be able to see my improvements as I go. Like, okay. I'm okay with that. So this is the liquid acrylic, acrylic ink. They're all liquid to some degree. But this does not have any gel medium, so it's like water. Excuse me. That was coffee. So I like this. This is by royalbrush.com. I knew them as Royal Langnickel, but Royal Brush, I used to sell their brushes back in the 80s. And they made a very, very good brush. Now, lately I've noticed, like in Michael's craft shops, they have Langnickel brushes, but they have Langnickel brushes on the low end. And matter of fact, I think this is one. No, it's Premier. They have a line that looks very much like this, although I think it might be silver. It's really, or hematite. It's a really cool finish. But I might have completely worn it out by now. Probably. I did try to get rid of some things. But it's pretty much a Langnickel brush, just a different name. Thank you. This is the hot counterpart to the rainy day underwater one. I did all the blues and greens. So I wanted something hot. And also, I wanted something with the feeling of Mexican straw flowers and ranunculus. Those flowers are so brilliant that when you see them in a garden, you think they're fake. And I actually grew them because I didn't really believe the packet I was looking at. They have growing side by side, yellow, white, this beautiful deep red, and a hot pink that looks fake. But it looks absolutely gorgeous with those colors. So that's what I'm trying to kind of bring to life here. The first time I ever saw them in person was actually at Knott's Berry Farm in Southern California. There's only one. They were just astonishing. And they were growing them with a straw flower, which also has those amazing colors. But the straw flower, even when it's like, before it even has a chance to dry and become an everlasting, it looks and feels like a straw, like fake. Now, when Glenn and I first landed on the farm, we had all of this acreage and the use of heavy equipment that we could never have afforded to purchase or rent, for that matter. But we had neighborly neighbors who wanted to help us, and that was awesome. So I was researching, how can we make money living on the land? And one of the things that came up was growing everlastings as a crop. That was one of the things we tried. Actually, not very sincerely, because I had no help. That never reached fruition because of surprise weather, which wiped all our seeds out. Then we tried garlic, exotic garlic, not just your regular garlic. I invested in a few pounds, which is quite a lot, of these beautiful cloves of garlic, gigantic cloves of garlic. The bigger the clove you plant, the bigger your bulb. So I went all in. And let me tell you, planting garlic, if you've never done it, is back-breaking labor. It's the most labor-intensive crop I've ever messed with, which means that was the only year I did it, because that too got wiped out. It got wiped out that year by, let's see, what was it called? What are those things that come out of the sky and come straight down and bend your trees? Microburst. We had a microburst, and we were right in the center of it. I got to sit there with the dogs. Don't drink your ink and paint with your coffee. I know, I've done shit like that. Greetings, Charlie. Yeah, microburst was a very frightening thing. In a trailer with a metal roof, you can hear the slightest shower loud and clear. Well, this was pounding, like you look out the window and it's white water right in front of your eyes. Sheets. You are blinded. Now, I'm sure all of us have it sometime or another, seen a storm like that. Well, mind you, this stuff is hammering on the ceiling, so all the dogs and the cats, except for the deaf one, are terrified. And everybody, including me at one point, we went under the table. All of us huddled under the table. You should see 4 dogs, a human, and 2 cats. It was scary. That's how loud it was. And I was starting to wonder, when I finally was able to see the white water coming down from the front hill right to the trailer, going under the trailer, wiping out our skirting, and then coming through on the other side of the trailer, going down the hill into the field, where it was swirling like it was going to create a whirlpool in the back 40. My garlic swirled with it. And after all the days of being hunched over on the ground, breaking up these cloves and putting in one at a time, oh, that was the last time I did garlic. Now I just buy it. All right, look how shiny that's drying. That saves me a step. How is it you do, ma'am? Yes, it felt like the sky was falling. The pine trees out front were only like, I don't know, at that point maybe 6 to 8 years old, and so very green. It was, well, as I say, I took out my garlic while it was only this big, so it was probably spring. Yeah, what a mess. I'm just remembering. The trees got hit so hard they bent over. The top foot of the trees, all the woods, all right, went like this, like a right angle, like someone had just literally come in and did that on purpose and wired them down. They stayed like that. They stayed like that for quite some time. Matter of fact, it was well into autumn when the other trees were changing, that you could see it was starting to rise. It took, so I don't even know how much damage that did. I guess they never really came back up. They came back up with a little kink in them. So probably the intensity of that rain damaged some of the cells. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing they do. Yes, you were there the last time I streamed, Charlie. I just didn't have enough energy to go back online yesterday. Yeah, microbursts are very dangerous. And in North Carolina, they have all these different isolated thermal areas, is what they're called. So we were living in an isothermal area, and it was so distinct that our local college was called isothermal community college. You could have a storm right like we had where we were, and it wasn't around the corner like 50 feet away. Nothing, no rain, dry roads, and we had flooding. So we did feel very special. And then finally, well, at the same time that was happening, the creek was rising because of other areas in the state that were also getting hit with the heavy rain. So our creek came up over the banks into the back field. So even if the microburst on one side of the field had missed my garlic, the water coming out of the creek did not. Only new news I have now is that I've decided what exams I'm taking. Which exams are you taking? Yes, you got it fixed from a jeweler. Okay, so you have chosen which ones? What are you going for? You do too. I'm not surprised. Pacific Northwest. I would think you have some microclimates. I know that there's one part of Oregon that's like amazing for mushroom hunting. Portuguese and philosophy. Really? Well, I think philosophy is very good. Ah, then don't worry, just study. Worry only destroys your own clarity. You need patience for the study, so don't work against yourself. Hmm. Wouldn't that be nice if he was to get a PhD? He's got a long way to go, though. He's just getting out of high school. My niece is considering it, and she's perfect fit for your neck of the woods, Justin. She wants to do a paper on the effects of and the usefulness of ketamine and psychedelics in psychotherapy. Oh, I see. I don't know. You would have to research that. But if you just go for the amount of laziness you can work into the plan, then you're going to screw yourself. You know that, right? How lazy you are in studying cannot be the criteria that you use to choose your study. The idea is to do something, anything, really, until you find something really strikes you and go, wait, I'm interested in that. I like that. I want to know more. And then you'll know you're on path. Right now, it's just a terrible age to have to make huge decisions like that. I don't think it's really fair that they put young people into that position. And it's everywhere. You know, I didn't agree with it when I was in school. Like, how would I know what I want to study right now? There's a lot of things I'm interested in. That's always been my problem. I have never been able to settle on one thing. That's a good start. I just put the lid back on that. Really? Exie, hello. So law is still fascinating you. So that's a good study. So philosophy is a good thing if you're going to go into law. It's 3:33. My goodness, you know what time that is? In this neck of the woods? I'll be right back. I have to stretch my legs and butt. Okay. Nothing like a little gelinite in the afternoon. Oh, is it? I see. Oh, really? No kidding. That's a shame. But I think it's still a good thing, yeah. I hope so. I hope so, Charlie. Well, just make that your goal, and you'll be guided to what you need to do. I'm glad you're getting the opportunity by the time I was in a position to get more schooling or go toward a degree, I had no interest in a degree. And I was already married. And then I got busy doing stuff. Then I ended up with my favorite job of all, which was art materials. They don't have a class, they don't have a course for art materials. They have fine art courses, but I wasn't interested in becoming an artist professionally. I really just loved learning about the materials and guiding people to the best. So it was a job that I would have loved to make into a career, but there really wasn't, it was just basically salespeople, you know. Oh, failure is absolutely essential to growth. Failure is one way of knowing right away that you're actually trying something new. If it comes too easily, well, that's not a bad thing if something comes easy to you. There are some things that came very easy to me, but not everything. I deal with some dyslexia, especially around numbers. I don't know. How much time do you have? And how much time are you planning on devoting to it? How many more exams do you have ahead of you? Any way of having an idea? I mean, you should know, like, midterms, end terms, all that shit. You know, this is really, it is a bad idea to put your brush directly in a bottle. You're supposed to dump it out into a palette, which is, I should have already done. You never know what you might be infecting your ink or paint with. Yes, this stuff goes moldy. Well, I believe that you're capable. Do you? Time to test yourself, I guess, huh? They need to have a class teaching people good study habits. What makes something more effective than another? Hello, Corey Quinn. Where are you from, Corey Quinn? I've only got a couple sips of my coffee left. What a shame. Rochester, New York. My first husband went to school there. So how's your weather right now? Just out of curiosity. I'm down in Connecticut, quite a distance from you. Sounds like a dog. It's very warm in Connecticut. I'm in Connecticut right now, but I was born in New York. And I've lived all over the country, but never outside of the country. It's a cold town. I know that much. They usually get a lot of snow in winter. They're right up there close to Canada. Tommy liked it. But what do you say, Corey? Oh yeah, no one is shouting. I have them using capitals to make it easier for me to see. If it drives you crazy, then you don't have to do it. But if you can do all caps, you have permission. Okay, Charlie, 72 and sunny. That sounds like what we have. It's been very warm, and we're supposed to get a 90-degree day on tomorrow or Friday. It's like, oh no, not 90 degrees already. It's not even spring. Did you guys get at least a month of ice? Month of frozen? Yeah, I know. We did not get 30 days of freeze, and our bugs are already showing us what happens when you don't get a freeze that you need. It is going to be hell this summer. Everybody get ready for black flies. And if you don't know what a black fly is, A, you're very lucky. Hopefully you're so lucky you don't live where they are. Black flies are nasty. Mean. If a fly can be mean, they're mean. Yeah, 90. Yeah, Syracuse is further north than Rochester, isn't it? Or am I getting them confused? I haven't looked at a map of New York, upstate New York, in a long time. Also, I haven't been upstate New York in a long time. We put up earth BBs. I hate black flies. Yeah, you know what they are. Yeah, the problem is they scissor bite. They don't bite like teeth. They bite by making 2 cuts to make it bleed more. Yeah, they're bad like horseflies. They're big and just as stubborn and plentiful. I think horseflies do the same thing, don't they? They do a cut, a slice, rather than a chomp. We're going to be seeing people were worried about wearing face masks. We're going to be seeing people wearing fly nets, like I used to wear in North Carolina in the summer. Syracuse east of you. Yeah, see, I need a map. When my husband was going there, my first husband, he went to RIT. Mostly what I got were pictures of what it was like up there in winter versus what it was like down here in winter. Of course, he was down here in summers. He loved it up there, but I never visited him up there. It was like all pen pal stuff. And I used to keep globes and maps, and I don't have either one now. So all of that geography is like gone. It's pathetic. Yeah. Citronella and beekeeper. Yeah, you need a beekeeper outfit just about. Hey, I didn't joke around because in North Carolina we were out there on the farm. We had game land behind us. We were out there 7 miles from the nearest main road. And we were a main road, but it was a main road that was only paved the year before we moved there from California. So it was a very back out there in the middle of nowhere kind of a place, and nothing but farms around us, and the American miso factory. Oh, well, thanks for letting us know that, Corey. Yeah, so you know all about it. You know all about the flies. But when I was down south in the summer, we had black flies, we had all kinds of mosquitoes, of course. We had horse farms and we had cows, so we had lots of the stuff that bothers horses and cows. And deer, so we had lots of ticks. And occasionally we borrowed our neighbors', what were they called? They were so beautiful and so nasty loud, but they loved ticks, and they could clean out a field of ticks in a day. What the hell were they called? Can't remember now. That's terrible. Ah. I just had to, every time I was going to go for a walk in the woods, which was every day, I usually wore coveralls, so there was less to have to cover. I wrapped tape around my ankles to make sure nothing could get up under my pants, because I experienced what happens when a spider gets caught in your pants. I don't think I can do that without paying something. No, not a woodpecker. You can borrow it. They keep them with chickens because they're noisy, and they let you know about foxes and the roosters and all that. They let you know, but it just begins with a G, I think. They're speckled feathers. They're a big bird. But you don't need more than 2 of them. And, oh my God. So yeah, so you wrap tape around your ankles and to hold your pants together. You wear white on anywhere you can wear white. I would wear a wide brim hat. Matter of fact, I still have that hat. And over it, I had a net, because things are always trying to blow into your face. But also, you've got to kind of tuck your net into your collar, because they will come up under it as well. gloves sometimes. It just depended on how bad things were, what day, you know. Like, oh great, they hatched. And you've got a few days waiting for the birds to demolish some of the population. We had woodpeckers. We had a couple different kinds. I loved listening to them in the morning. But I cannot remember the name of that large fowl with spots on it that likes to eat ticks. I keep wanting to say geese. It's not geese. They have been referred to as like the watchdogs. Oh dear, did I just get red paint on my face? It's a large bird that's very common, but a lot of people don't like to keep them because they are noisy as hell. When they start cackling on and going on, they are extremely loud. They can be extremely annoying, but they love ticks. So a lot of people will get them or rent them, borrow them, trade them. It's like, I need to borrow these birds for a couple of days. And you just let them basically free range in your field, and they help wipe out a bunch of ticks. They are attracted to the smell of the blood. So, yay. That's what makes them so fascinating to dogs, too. You ever notice how a dog will pick up a tick and they do this kind of thing? They spit it out and they smell it and they got to pick it back up. It's like, give me that stupid tick. Because you don't want them swallowing it, because then they get whatever is in its stomach. I don't know if the stomach acids kill what's in a tick if they swallow it, but I know it's not a good idea for them to swallow it. In any case, the tick is attractive to animals who can smell them. They smell apparently like blood. It's like doing organic gardening with blood meal. Guinea fowl, that's it. Thank you. That's it. I was right. It starts with a G, and it had the word fowl in it. Yes, guinea fowl. Very cool, very loud. But very useful in the country. And, you know, when you're growing stuff and you've got livestock around you and it's not yours, you don't want to, like, inundate your world with pesticides and things like that, because it just ends up causing harm. And plus, you know, if you've got dogs and cats and they go out, you don't want them accidentally getting it on their fur and licking it off, because you know how dogs and cats always wash themselves, or most of them do. Roaches, squirrels, and pigeons. Oh, I get that. I was born in the city, and I definitely had my city life. I lived in New York until I was 20 or 21, then I moved to the country. So I was fully grown and used to going in and out of Greenwich Village and walking all over New York City. But it's been 50 years. I love nutria. I also like hutia from Cuba. My wildlife friend got a few of them to America to the San Diego Zoo to preserve the species. And also they were her pets. They became her pets. She took care of them. And unfortunately, 2 of them died in quarantine, which is a frequent event in quarantine, which is why we don't like to quarantine animals. They may arrive healthy, but they might be quarantined not far from a sick animal. I love prairie dogs. But I also like ferrets. I had a friend that had ferrets. And he's also the same family that they were doing a lot of squirrel rescue and rehoming. A squirrel rescue in South Carolina used to bring their squirrels up when they were ready to let go. And they'll put up all the little squirrel houses for the transition period. They're the ones that ended up with Hanky, who refused to hit the wild. He really preferred the indoor life. Skunks, raccoons, mice, and coyote. Yep, been there, done that too. Yep, rats. I raised mice, so I was really used to them. I never raised a rat. I always wanted to, though, a pair of rats, but I just cannot afford what a rat needs for entertainment, time-wise or materially. They need a large area, and you've got to be ready. I mean, I would not want them in cages. They're so smart. I wouldn't have them in cages unless it was bedtime, my bedtime. It's like, sorry guys, you are not running around while I'm asleep. It's not like you put diapers on them, you know what I mean? Of course, that would be the first thing I would have to teach them. All right, my little smart animals, you will get heavily rewarded if you learn to use a little litter box, a rat-sized litter box. No? Then no fresh apples for you. No pizza. Make you drive on the subway. Skunks, I have had plenty of dealings with them, dead and alive. I had a bull terrier who would not let one go even though she had killed it. She had to continue killing it. And then we had to wrap it up and put it in the freezer so it could be tested for rabies. So we've done that country thing. Raccoons, haven't had too much interaction with the raccoons. I have had friends that did, but I've discouraged the raccoon thing because they have an opposable thumb. So I've always felt that my places were too easy to break into for raccoons. Mice, they just, bite their way in. And coyote, I did not have a problem with until, Southern California, and then surprisingly, North Carolina. We almost lost kibble to a coyote. I saw a video, one of those compilations with dogs and their owners. It was the first time I saw one that actually completely looked like kibble. It was showing, it's like how vicious it could be. Like, this is not a friendly dog. Do not put your hand near this dog. The faces it was making, it was like, oh my God, that is kibble. Hold on 1 second. I gotta say goodnight to Rich. Sweet. Sweet. Not sweetie. Sweet. Sweet. Dreams. I always say that. Remember your rules. La 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 la. Okie dokie, and it's good night. Da, 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 da. Clear. Now there's our live chat. Okay. Raccoons are some of the cutest critters on the planet, I think. Especially the babies. In Southern California, it was not uncommon to see them peeking out, like in a row, peeking out of storm drains, waiting to be able to cross the street, or waiting for the sun to go all the way down. Also, saw them like that going camping. You were more likely to see multiples. When you went camping, you also needed to really tie up your food, as you must know. Anything outdoors, food needs to be secured. But those little faces all in a row are just too cute. Now, I think that would be the kind of thing that would sell. There's little prints of little baby animal faces. And I would say it would sell because I've actually seen stuff like that beat out amazing art. Cute little things. Glenn's stuff was in a show in an art store, art gallery. And I'm not saying his should have sold. He had put some unusual stuff in. And there were all kinds of degrees of talent. There were a couple of oil paintings that looked like they were done by a master. They were just beautiful still lifes with birds and flowers, and it was like, that woman's got that shit down. Didn't sell a thing. Hardly got any notice. The first thing, and as far as I know that night, the only thing that sold was a little square print, plain white canvas, and a little mouse holding, I don't know, a grain of corn or something like that. I've taken tons of pictures of little critters holding things and eating them, and those cute little faces. But what this girl did was she did that little teeny painting, which did not look realistic. It just looked cute, cartoony but sweet, you know. Again, I'm not putting her art down. I liked it. I would have loved to do it myself. I'd love to have a print. And at the price she was selling it, it was very easy to, because she did it on computer and she printed it out on a computer. And that's what she was selling for $25 in a little frame. And when I saw that, it was like, well, what's the sense in doing an original and having to sell the original? Now I can just put it in the computer and just knock it out. When you want to print it, you got a copy of it, and it's kind of like being a Zazzle or Fine Art America patron. Submit anything you want, and you can have something made with it because it's for you. But $25 for a print versus a minimum of $100 for an original that's one of a kind because there's not a print of it. It's discouraging. But of course, I immediately looked into it, thinking, well, if she can do it, no reason Glenn can't. So I started looking into what does it cost to buy the printer you need to do that kind of thing. And by the time I was done, we were looking at an investment of about $5,000, which would make all the professional stuff you wanted for a while. It was small. But then you just had to buy the pigmented inks to put in the specialized printer, buy the yardage of whatever you wanted to print on. So, yeah, if you want to start your own business, that's a pretty good investment right there. That's what that my place in Florida, the gallery in Florida, had done. They bought the printer, so they were able to print out people's work and charge them. They make, well, we get this much for printing in the first place, and then when it sells from our gallery, well, we get a percentage of that too, but you'll make money on that, and your photograph can still produce more. Good deal. That's a good red. That is a nice primary red. Too warm for me to wear, but good to go with this. Justin, are they using Nutria as a food source in your area yet? I know there has been talk about that for some time. I don't know how many chefs are working with it. Another name for the hutia is banana rat, because they hang out up in banana trees and they cross power lines and stuff like that because they like to be above the ground. Ew. Yeah, I don't think I would have to be fooled into trying it. There are some things, unfortunately, I know I have conditioned headset, so it's very hard for me to see something that's been looked down upon or seen as dirty as a food source. That's like lots of cultures have been eating bugs and bug flour for centuries, and the thought of doing that makes me But they're sneaking it in. Wherever they can sneak it in, it is being snuck in. Oh, okay. How are we doing on this side? Yeah, it's drying, but it's not like a speedy dry. Whoa, oh shit. That wasn't good. I guess it's inevitable. There's gonna be red blobs because we already have these other blobs. Oh, I bought myself a treat today. I have been completely persuaded to try a non-dairy version of an ice cream by Ben & Jerry that is so bad for you, but so good. I had to swear off it after one container, and that's their fudge brownie ice cream. Well, I thought I'll try the dairy-free, that'll reduce the calories, and let's see how it compares. And it does have a few hundred calories less than the dairy kind, I think. I'm pretty sure. I have to actually look it up again, but I'm pretty sure that the original has over 1,000 calories a container, and this is 800 something, so it is less. I haven't tried it yet, but they use almond milk instead of regular cow milk. And I know almond milk is not actual milk. I'm aware of that. But I figure there is so much to the brownie, and they're generous with that fudge brownie. I figured that should do it. That should satisfy the sweetest of the sweet tooths. I'll let you know. I normally don't mess around with ice cream. I take my ice cream seriously because I can't eat much of it because of, cholesterol. So when I buy it, I like it to be top shelf. going to enjoy it, make it the best. Like in downtown Rutherfordton, a doctor retired and opened up an ice cream parlor. Well, more a shop. He took it and left. They made a coconut ice cream. That was so amazing. I knew it was bad for the cholesterol, but I looked forward every summer to getting some fresh coconut ice cream. And that was it. It was like once a year. Now, there is a less problematic coconut confection, if you like it, and that is coconut ices as done in Mexico. So good. Oh, so good. But it's got so much coconut and coconut milk in it, or cream. It is also a hazard to your cholesterol. So that was another one that became a rare treat. The ices, not just the ice cream. Our 95-year-old or 96-year-old friend here in the building, Gloria, she does not deprive herself, and we've talked about this, like if you're in the right place vibrationally, you can get away with all kinds of things. Gloria makes sure, depending on her mood, she has ice cream every single night. She's smaller than me. She has ice cream sometimes as many as 3 scoops, sometimes with chocolate on it. And chocolate, she makes sure she has a piece of chocolate every single day. And she is on no medication on a regular basis. Nothing for heartburn, like most everybody I know anymore. Nothing for her blood pressure. She's 95 years old. It's like, wow. Now, because she comes to the meditations, I got to know her a little bit more, because it's, of course, a curiosity. Why are some people living long and happy lives, and why aren't others? Why are some people riddled with illnesses, and why are others not? Is it genetics? A lot of times it's not. And looking at the people that come to the meditation, Gloria is definitely a happy woman. She is the one I told you about. She was married twice and outlived both husbands. Both marriages were over 20 years. She's had a bunch of kids. She used to attend church, but that's not a big thing for her. More like now that she's wondering, like, okay, who's going to take care of my body when I die? I guess I need to join a church again. That kind of a casual thing. She's like, she gets hit with something, she just like roll on, just let it roll on. She just takes care of it, and that's it. Doesn't think about it again. She has completely forgiven people from her past that did her wrong. And she's forgiven herself for where she failed or felt like she failed or did wrong. And that has given her a level of peace, which is reflected in her vibration, which is reflected in her life. So I look at her as an example of how to live long and still enjoy life while you're living just long, you know. Because she's definitely, no matter what happens, she finds a way to enjoy what's left to her. So I definitely look up to her. Now, Maui, you are no longer in a city, are you? Aren't you more like on the edge of a city? Or is it still actually city? It's hard to think cities with Hawaii, even when I've been in them. It seems like no matter where you are, you're just a hop, skip, and a jump from a beach. You're in the middle of the island's main city. Wow. I thought you could see the ocean from one of your windows. There's my water. Ah, I don't think I have been in either one. You can see the ocean too. So, oops, as far as the wildlife is concerned. YouTube ate my comment. Oh no. Yeah, I don't see anything here. Oh. Oh, I see. You took the phone call before hitting send. Well, not too much. Okay. What brush am I going to use for this? All right. The cruise liner deck 6 blocks only. Cruise liner. Oh my goodness. Strips of bacon, thin planes, blood dripping down a wall, red kelp seaweed. Wow. Okay. Oh, I do not want to use my bare hands with that. Alright, this has to dry thoroughly. Or we will have smearing. We cannot have smearing. Alright, let me dispose of this. Well, it's not dispose, I'm just going to rinse that out. Okay. Oops. Bad timing. Interesting and good to know. Look, that's not a bad adhesion. Plastic cup. I mean, I'm sure I can scrape it off, but that's good for future projects. It likes to stick to things. Alright, I'm gonna have to rinse this out. Alright. Speaking of optical illusions, I just thought I saw one of my old dogs on my bed, but it's actually just laundry waiting to be folded. Now that stuff's stained. Well, it's strong. I got it everywhere. This will be interesting scrubbing it off later. Okay, well, these inks so far, I'd say good concentration, definitely amazing price. The whole primary palette was only $13. Damn good. I don't think I could pay less than $7 or $8 each color on Amazon. So, yes, good brand. Royal Langnickel Essentials. All right. So let's see, what time is it? 4:30. Eh, my God. Let's see. What did I do? Turn my picture off? Because I need to catch up. Alright. That doesn't look bad. It's shaping up. I want it to be fiery and hot and bright. Kind of like dancing on the surface of the sun or a flame-broiled steak. Alright, so now we have these inks. Now, since I've already got some red on it, and I know this has to be scrubbed off, let's take a look at this. These are supposed to be a ½ ounce, a little bit less than ½ ounce. I think the idea is to give you a little bit of everything if you're starting out with calligraphy. So let's take a look. This is a calligraphy pen. Well, I can tell you this is not a smooth pen. It's not like a good quality. Now, this should... it should be enough. You know, this looks like it might be a little too thick. It is not. going down the way it should. It should be going, there we go. The channels should guide it. Find the point that works. Wait a minute, where's my live chat? Oh, really? Well, you're the only one who can determine. I can tell you right now that this sucks. I might have to look into this. This might be remedied with a couple of swipes on an emery board, but I need to look into that before I destroy one of the 3 pens. I did figure these were going to be learning tools. But let's take a look. I'll use the same brush that I used with the other ink. And let's see. Well, that is a nice red. It does look like blood a bit when it's dried. To make it really look like blood, I would need to mix something else in with it. Why can't you ever give me a definitive... What are you talking about? A definitive answer about what? Something that is a matter of personal taste? I don't see what yours looks like. I have no clue. If it's... Is it scratching the paper? If it's scratching the paper, you need a new nib. Pretty black and white there. If it's not scratching the paper, then it's personal taste. There's no definitive answer other than either ink is flowing or ink is not flowing. Either it feels smooth to write with or it doesn't. It should ideally be smooth. How more definitive can I get? You're the one that said, I don't know if it's really demanding a $22 replacement. It does give it some character. It is somewhat annoying, so pro and con you're throwing out there. I'm also clear on what my job is. Okay, that's not a bad red. Where it's really thick, it could be used in place of blood. Now that's just for those people who are hyper dramatic and they want to enter a spell in their book in blood-like ink. It's a lot easier to just use ink. Also, blood is sticky and it changes color, and you'd have to use animal blood like chicken or pig, and you'd have to make special arrangements at a butcher's to get it, and it's just gross. Or you can get some liver, I suppose. Either way, if you want consistency and ample supply, I'd suggest paint, ink, one of those things. Alright, so that's not bad, but this pen is not going to work. I'm going to have to look it up on YouTube and see what people do to make these better. My suspicion is you need to basically create a side for it. Yes, it is. It was. I remember. But now you can get artificial everything, which is better. I mean, that stuff is, it's gross. Thank you, Charlie. Yes, please remember to like the stream. This is YouTube. I actually need thumbs up. I appreciate those of you who did that last show. I saw there were 3 thumbs up. I appreciate every one of them. Okay. That's a kind of a cool gold. It is heavily pigmented. Yeah, good going. There's the primary yellow in an acrylic ink, and this is a calligraphy gold ink. It's supposed to flow better than some of the other golds. Now, the other golds you've seen, it just clumps up on the bottom. Before it's only... Aw. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I always get, I have to admit, like whenever I watch a video and they have all the subscribe and the thumbs up and that, it's like, shut up. Just shut up. If people don't like your show, it's because you have too many advertisements insisting people like your show. But I get it. We have to have some way to prove to YouTube that we're okay. And one of the things is I do long shows, which actually brings my numbers down, ironically. Yay! I appreciate it. So the algorithm apparently is formed like how much time somebody spends watching these things, and if other people come back and watch them, you know, later or all that. So the views, and whether you go all the way to the end of the video, that's apparently also calculated. It'll say how long someone is, what the average is where people are watching your videos. It's like, oh, well, if they're leaving after 15 minutes, I'm not very entertaining, which is sucky because I'm not, I hope to be entertaining, but that's really also just an aside because I'm not making money here. I just like to do this and hang out with you guys and answer questions and, you know, chit chat, something relaxed, and sometimes something new. Ah, it is getting really warm in here. Yeah, Justin, it is. So, I am not good with social media. I have gotten lots of advice, and I know even AI says, if you want to do this, you need to do that. It's like, I'm not good with TikTok and Instagram because I'm not making a bunch of things that are like shorts, you know. That's the biggest tool they have right now is making little video shorts. And I know it. And I've got ideas. But at the same time, it's like, oh yeah, well, you know, I really just want to paint today. And that's a problem if I want to build popularity, because I have to give up painting time to do social media time. And it's hard for me to do that. I just find it annoying, especially when people start with the, snide comments. I'm snippy as hell, and I could be extremely sarcastic and mean if I let myself go down that road, but I don't. But then I see certain things that I just want to be, just like they label the trolls labeled me the meanest, what was I, the meanest Granny on Twitch, something like that. Oh no, the most savage granny on Twitch. I liked that. I have to use the converter to push the ink with higher pressure. Oh. So, is that helping you? Are you enjoying using that pen? The Countess Olga. She is taking audiences tonight. I have so many names. That makes it a lot better. Good. Well, if that style of writing with that pen, the way it is, works for you, then who's to say that you need to do anything else to it? That's not smart. That's what sponges are for. You wipe it across a damp sponge. No, it's poison. The shellac and that stuff, or alcohol, other things that you should not ingest. It's not love. If you were a cat licking a kitten, that would be love or instinct. Just going to lick a pen is like making a point in your mouth with a brush after you've dipped it in cadmium red. You have a name that starts with A. How many start with B? Bereka, Barbara, Barbie, Brian, Bastard. No, that's not really a name. Although I have called people by that. One major problem is I still have no name. I don't really see that as a major problem, but you're going to have to just let that float to the surface of your conscious mind. Well, licking a lollipop could be, but a lollipop is made to be licked or sucked on. It's safe to ingest in general. You know, food grade, sugar, coloring, all that. How many of mine? None. None of my names start with a B. No. Well, I thought your Adrian already collapsed. I don't think that's a good omen. Although I always felt Adrian is a good writer's name, so I guess you could use that for the name of a pen. Ah, that's good. No. Or balloon suckers. I mean, you know. Now we're talking weird shit. Adrian Jr. Adrian Jr. I don't know. It's your pen. You have to live with it. AJ the pen. Ha! I did miss it. Oh, wait a minute. Adrian the mother died. Now we have Junior Adrian. I got the window lickers one. So what else did I miss? It's possible, Justin. It's possible. I'm feeling that it's like siesta time when my brain is going offline for a little while, no matter what the rest of my body is doing. Oh, that start with B. Well, bitch. Adrian Jr., huh? Well, I have better names too. Thank you. Well, over the years, I have had different names. I mean, I went as Galen for years as an entertainer. And that was because my first husband was embarrassed by me using his last name when I went out singing in cafes. So I was really Galen legally in California, at least for a few years. And then husband number two fell in love with me, which is good if he became a husband. But he loved the name Adrian, so I went back to my given name of Adrian. But then, when I wrote the second Namaris novel, Galen is the chief character, and everybody wants to be Galen. If they're going to choose a character from Namaris to be, it's usually Galen. And that's how it's like, call me Galen, like I am Galen, I wrote it. But then there was Auntie A for years. So Auntie A, and in my own family I'm Aunt A. So there was that, just Aunt A. What else? Oh, Olga, but that's a job title, that's not a real name. It's just the old lady giving advice. What else? Well, that's pretty much it. When I was a singer-songwriter performer, I did not use my last name publicly for obvious reasons. But people knew me as Adrian. Yep, Auntie A works. I'm used to that. I answered to that. So that's cool. I think that's it. Oh, Arakiel, my angel name. And then there was a spirit name, which is different from all those. So I guess I do have a couple that I don't use in general. Arakiel is a channel, so, you know, you can call me Ray or you can call me Dave, or is Dave home? Hey man. I know, and sometimes that is exactly how I am. And my voice does get raspy. I do. I think. Oh, not that private. It is what I was given when I came back from the dead at 12. Dave's not here, man. You got it. And see, when Rich took me out for my birthday to the casino, I was a bit nervous about going there. I was ready to turn around and say, let's not do this because I'm just too wobbly. I can't stand up. If I get knocked over, I could start bleeding, you know. And they made a big deal about, oh, you're on this dose of Eliquis, and if you bump your head, don't even wait. Just go to ER and have them do an MRI to make sure you don't have a brain bleed. So that had me really nervous. But we stopped. I said, well, there's no way I can walk. I'm gonna need a wheelchair. There's no way. I can't even get all the way there without, you know, just about falling down. I had to sit down a couple of times on the way to get a wheelchair. So when I got there, that's when I was like, maybe we should just turn around and go, or just take the first restaurant and just get the hell out of here. But then the person who was getting the wheelchair for me turned out to have a name which was my spirit name. And I took that as a good sign. And then it turned out that she's the daughter of someone who lives in my building. So I took that as another good sign, and I went and I had a wonderful time. Well, if you want, it's just what I was told. It doesn't mean that that is. I mean, nobody has power over you just if they know your spirit name. They can call you anything, but when we are back to just being pure vibration, we don't know ourselves by names. We don't call ourselves human names. It's more like sounds or vibes. You know someone by their vibration. So I figured my spirit name was a gift when I was questioning at age 12. Okay, Keisha. Now, this woman's whole name was La Keisha, but she did not use the La part. And I said, yeah, that doesn't sound right. It's just Keisha. And the thing was that after I was told by my guides, I was so convinced that my mother, because it was like my mother knew me before I came here. I know my mother knew me before I came here. I was absolutely convinced of that, right down to the spirit. And so I endeavored to draw what Keisha looked like, which was a little bit like me, but in my mind I was not seeing me. It was a different person, and also someone older than me. I was only 12 at the time. Well, it depends on how you see yourself. When my father visited me, it was a communion, and it was beyond names. I mean, he let me know he was my father, which was necessary, but aside from that, I didn't identify as Adrian. It was more like he knew me by my vibration. I recognized him by, well, actually I didn't recognize him right off the bat because he was so full of love, just an amazing level of indescribable love, that did not sound or feel anything like the father I knew here on earth. So I didn't recognize him right. When he said he was my father, I asked him if he was God the Father, because I thought I was in the presence of an angel. That's the energy I was feeling. So it was way different than expected, because like I said, my father was no angel. He had high ideals. He wanted to do great good in the world. He had that aspiration, but he was a mortal, and he was guilty of doing mortal things like every other mortal. Exactly. There was no language necessary at all. It was completely it was a transcendental experience. I've had something close to it. But I have not had an identical experience where we're communing for 45 freaking minutes. And that changed my worldview, my world of everything. It changed everything, how I see things. And the thing is, it's always been in stages. My first experience with spirit was when I was a little kid going to the temple all the time. But that wasn't a choice. I mean, I loved it. I looked forward to it. But that wasn't really a choice. It was more like babysitting, and I was too young to be left alone, but I was really well behaved. So they could bring me to the temple, and I could sit there and not make a sound for the entire service. So I learned to sit and just be quiet and meditate. You know, you can't sit there listening to the prayers and the silences and the davening and all that stuff. You can't hear all that for hours and not be affected. You're going to go daydreaming, you just, drift off. So I was having spiritual experiences really young. But that, my father's visit was definitely the most mind-blowing. But the first was after I tried to kill myself at 12. Waking up the next day, that's when things changed. And that's when I learned about having guides and how to communicate with our spirit guides. And I learned that there are countless guides. You've got all different levels, but there's like your best friend kinds of guides and your kind of teacher guides or overseers, but they're just there. Everybody's just there to help you with whatever you want to do in this life. But yeah, there's no need for spoken language, and that was my first experience, because my guides were trying to explain that they were beyond sexuality, I should say. They were not male or female. When I was asking all kinds of kid questions, like, do you have wings or not, things like that, they tried to give me images and understandings, but they were laughing because they knew I was a kid, and they were trying to answer some of these questions, but some things were just not going to, they were playing with me. It's like, oh, don't worry, you'll understand later, you'll understand when you're older, things like that. So it was an amazing experience, and it didn't happen just like with my father's visit, where it was a very distinct 45 minutes. I was wired, my body was electric, my brain was electric, everything vibrated, everything was like, and it was an amazing thing. And that, like I said, that it was beyond words. So it was just from the tip of my spine to the top of my head. It was definitely like they described some of the tantric yoga experiences. Dr. Joe Dispenza describes it as heart and brain congruence, when they're both in the same rhythm and you have this transcendental experience. And so I had another close to that experience without communicating with anybody, when I tried to duplicate the exercise that Dispenza is teaching. Oh yeah, definitely. And I was all about peace and love, absolutely. But at 12, a lot of stuff, serious stuff that had nothing to do with peace and love happened to me. So that's why I tried to kill myself. But then when I woke up, it was like, well, obviously I'm not going home. They want me to be here for some reason. And then later that day, I started having breakthrough moments, and yeah, I asked all kinds of questions, and I got answers. But there were a lot of things that they couldn't give a definitive answer, because I was trying to ask for things in words, and they were trying to communicate in feeling, impressions, things without words. It's Dr. Joe Dispenza, but I know, doesn't it sound like a made-up name? Yeah, not with the human brain. No, there isn't. No. No. Dr. Joe Dispenza is actually, he started out as a chiropractor. But I don't know if it was a chiropractor before or after he got run over and broken into pieces by a truck, and basically put himself together again with energy work more than physical. But yeah, he is just a couple of years younger than me, I think, and he looks great. He looks like he's 10 or 15 years younger than he is. Yes, sound and colors. You get it. It's definitely an interesting experience. And when it happened, with both. Now, when I was 12 and I was absorbing things, I was doing it in the context of my religious background, because that's all I had. Yeah, see, I was trying to understand laughter from my guides, and it was like I could sense one of them, right? At first it started with just a guide. It started with just a guide talking to me, and it later, now I understand, my guide was like Abraham, in terms of Abraham Hicks. Abraham is the representative voice of a group of entities, and when my guide, who would not give me a name, I started asking more explicit questions about, are you male or female? And that's when it basically gave me both vibrations. So I was getting male and female. And it was more and more frustrating, and they were laughing at that. Not at me, but with me. And like, you'll understand when you're older, kind of a thing. You'll understand. But right now it's hard for you to get it. But we're here, and it's an us. It's not an I. And you have all these around you, and so it was really, considering I had just tried to kill myself, it was extremely reassuring to know I was not alone. And even though I felt like they were treating me like a child and not giving me direct enough answers, I did also understand that more would come. And now, of course, looking back, it's like, well, of course, they could only get so far. I was demanding answers in words. That's all I knew. And I was trying to get things really clear and defined so I could write it down, like, this is what they said, and it wasn't going to be like that. Well, keep asking. They're there. And it's more than one. And they come and go depending on what your needs are, which I discovered, again, by accident. And this was after my father's visit. But I was going through menopause, and my hair was down to my waist, and the sweat was hell. And I was trying to find ways to wear my hair so I could go to sleep and not wake up with it all stuck to my face like a mat, and having to take all my hair off and have puddles of water on me. Those years were so sucky. But one night I was in the bathroom and just playing with my hair, like, I wonder if I make one braid this way or two braids. And I was trying to do this two braid thing to kind of like do it like an Olga, I was hoping I could make two braids stay on top, because one braid going down my back was not working, because by the time I was done tossing and turning, it was all apart and a mess. Well, while I was standing there trying to figure out this two braid thing, suddenly there's this woman standing there in, like, she's got a hat thing on, like from somebody from the, like, my grandmother's time, okay, but not my grandmother, but an older woman, and she's wearing like a nightgown and a hair thing, and she just looked at me and she said, well, I found it easier to just make one braid and bring it up around my head. And I was like, who the hell? I mean, it was not expected. I was not aware that I was making an asking. I mean, I knew I was asking myself, but I was trying to figure it out. I was not expecting someone to pop in. Now, I have to also tell you, the same place that this woman popped in is also where my father popped in. So that may have led to the belief that, well, we know that our trailer was on Indian, it had been an Indian town, Native American town. And of course they were run off because they were taken over by white people. And so I don't know what happened there, but yeah, I just had feelings in that place. And there was one place in the woods where the dogs did not like to walk, and I, one day, in full daylight, I was just walking and I wanted to walk around. I was looking for morels because it was morel season, and I'd only found one little tiny one, and the deer usually beat us to it. But we went off the usual path and had to go through like a bunch of maypops, which I don't know if you know what maypops are. Most people do. Well, I think this is somewhere on land, because when we adopted Biscuit had been abandoned as a puppy on our property a year or so before we found him and rescued him. And he, right from the start, there was something different about him. And I did not say anything out loud, because when it came to things of spirit, I did not talk to Glenn about it, because he was always such a dick. And I did not want to expose my feelings to him in that direction, so I didn't say anything. But I found that he would identify things without me having to say it. He said that Biscuit seemed like an Indian spirit. He looked in his eyes and it was like he was an ancient Indian spirit. And because of that, even though his policy was no, we're not going to ever adopt a second dog, he did. I got up at 11:30 at night. It was snowing outside and he is there coaching Biscuit across the doorway. And I'm standing there watching from across the living room. And then I was like, all right, this is what I was hoping for. I wanted to rescue this dog. And I went out there and I looked at Biscuit and he looked at me and I felt that bond and he came into the house and that was it. All you found were all you found were bees. I hope you didn't get stung. Not a babushka hat, more of a bonnet with elastic or a string around it to tighten it, like our grandmothers would put on over their curlers, except she was not. I had a feeling she was from like a generation before that. She was not Native American, I can tell you that. She was very white. Also, she was dead, but not technically. So I know over the years, as I'm exposed to different things, whatever you need, there is a guide, a person, an entity who has lived on Earth and is around for you to get information from. Basically, every time we live a life, we are gathering experience and information, and we become the same to other people. The personality that you created, you drop it when you go home, but you don't drop the experience. The experience is still of use. Yeah, kind of like a shower cap. I'm looking for more L's, but all I found were B's. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Poofy, but made out of cotton instead of plastic. Anyway, whoever that was sweet enough to stop in and just give me an idea for my hair, which actually answered the problem for the night. But that was like my father said. Whoever you need around you, just ask the question. Ask whatever you need help in. Ask. There is someone that's already been here that is available the minute you ask. Yes. Very much like that. Except in Carol Burnett, when she has a sketch like that, she has an apron like a cleaning lady. This was a nightgown that was full length and, long sleeves. Modest. Old. But yes, that kind of a feeling. So basically, anytime you want to call on somebody to give you a hand with anything, inspiration, that's a big one. Ask to be inspired. Choose a direction. And if you want to communicate with guides, understand that they will use any name that works for you. So if you decide to give one a name, you can. They will answer to that. Yeah. Let's say Carol Burnett's a genius. Didn't she just turn 90 or 91? Now, we have people in this building, in fact, our cat lady, who spent the last 17 years taking care of feral cats. The last one, Buddy, just passed away. So they're getting ready to have a party for her next year when she turns 90. What spirits do you recommend with fish? Usually a white wine. That works. Yeah, there is no question too silly, too small, too unimportant. If it's something that crosses your mind that you want some information about, ask. Obviously, there are things that are like, if of scientific nature, you need to consult real science that you can verify, because, you know, the spirit guides are more for like whatever, when you need inspiration or guidance, or just to know you're not alone. She's 89? Oh, okay, I thought she just turned 90. Maybe she's getting ready to turn 90. Just a brilliant person. And like so many of us, pretty much all of us, she has suffered. She has suffered. But that's the cool thing. We have had so many lives on this planet. So many lives. I'm thinking like right now, right? There's what, almost 8 billion people. 8 billion different experiences that in the future people will be able to draw from, because those 8 billion people had a life here. They made decisions, they made choices, they saw how things panned out. I'm hoping that I'll be an experienced guide. That's always been a desire of mine. The one problem with this pen, besides the bend to nib, is it's still nameless. Doesn't have the right color ink. Oh, that's weird. I don't know. That should be, when it's manufactured, it should be a nice crisp click to make sure it doesn't fall off. AJ. All right. There is a small thing you can try. It will require a piece of tape. Wrap a piece of tape around the barrel, so when the cap goes over it, it engages the top half of that tape. Oh, it's not made to do that. But you can do the same thing if you want it to stick. If you want it to stick on the back, put a piece of tape. Put a piece of tape on the body so that halfway it goes over the tape. Obviously, you don't need very much. Just a single wrap should do it. Ah, no, 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 no. Not everybody wants it on the back. As a matter of fact, if you're talking about gel pens, you shouldn't put it on the back, because it inhibits the way the air flows and pushes the gel out. So I can click that on there, but it's really not a smart thing to do. Well, how else do you think you're going to make it stick? Glue? Sorry, Charlie. It's not designed to go on the back of a pen if it's a good pen. It just scratches it. So you're going to have to decide. You can see through the nib. Interesting. What the hell is it made of? You mean the space between the nib that has the channels and the metal? That's what you're seeing. Yes, do not try to compress it. It will prevent it from moving. It uses surface tension to suck it out. You might want to look up how fountain pens work. Oh, the half line is, yeah, I know what you're talking about. The very point, the ball of it should come together precisely, but there's always got to be a separation, because when you press down, it should divide it a little bit, and that increases the width of your line. You should know how things work. Also, it's interesting. I like fountain pens. So just like I have to look up how I can make this a good tool instead of a not good enough tool. See, I don't, even though I use technical pens have to be held this way, straight up and down, because the point is actually like a syringe needle. It's hollow, and it's surface tension that brings it out, and because tech pens have to remain precisely what they are made to be, it is a flat nib, so you always have to write it like that. I do not want to do that with a calligraphy pen, which is more like a fountain pen usually. So I may have to actually create my angle for this to work. So this will never give me the kind of control your pen will give you, because no matter how hard I press, the only thing I'm going to do is break it. There's no split here to give me a broader line or to jumpstart some ink traveling down. It's on the whole, it's very clever, but ideally, really, to prevent the drying out of the ink, this would be covered. As cool as it is, if it's covered, then it won't let the ink evaporate or dry. You can see where it's dried on the glass. Now I'm going to have to go scrub that off. The thing is, that's the kind of thing that happens inside fountain pens, which is why they can get messed up, which is why you have to keep it clean. And why you want a sponge rather than your tongue, because a sponge will help remove the tiny layer of ink that you might not notice. And it'll help, because it's damp, it'll help, again, use surface tension to get everything flowing again. So blotters and sponges are typical tools of the trade, and people are doing calligraphy or just writing with a fountain pen. There is something that's actually called blotter paper. And blotter paper is actually a beautiful, you can get archival blotter paper, because people actually do art on it. They come in nude sheets, like mat boards, big enough to cover a desk, but you can get it in colors that go on like calendars to cover a desk, usually green, brown, blue, or black. A tissue has fibers that can get stuck in your pen. And a sponge does not. Unless you have a really weird, crappy sponge. And it should just be barely damp. You don't want it wet. Tissue is going to suck everything out of it, but also it can leave fibers in your pen, and that can screw it up. Neither. It is like a thick watercolor paper, but doesn't have a hard finish, so it's softer. And it's very absorbent. It's meant to suck the ink right off your pen tip. This is cardstock. Blotter paper is like 4 or 5 times thicker than this. and it's almost like a mat of cotton. It holds together like a sheet of mat board, but it is soft. So you can do, I worked with a woman who used to love crayon, believe it or not. And she also loved Joshua Tree, California. So she would go and take lots of pictures of Joshua Tree, which is desert. And then she would do it, she would recreate the mountain range in Joshua Tree on these blotter papers, because it had a nice texture to hold on to the crayons. Butcher paper is way too slippery. I don't recommend that for a whole lot of art stuff. Unless you're just practicing airbrushing. It's really good for practicing airbrush, but actually newsprint is probably even better. You can usually get giant pads of newsprint, which is the cheapest that you can get. It's just like a newspaper with no print on it. Thin, super absorbent. That's when I was learning how to handle an airbrush, that's what I used. Black India ink and an airbrush, Pache number 1 or 3, I don't remember. The middle one. And you just learn how to handle that thing. And then you learn how to clean it. Boy, if you think a fountain pen's a bitch, clean an airbrush. Okay, now this is one of those wonderful long-term coincidences, this tassel. You see, originally I had a tassel and I wore it like a necklace. It was a reminder of what I was doing with the last magic carpet story, which involved tassels all around it. And every time it had an adventure, it lost a tassel. And it was kind of important. But eventually, years went by and I did not write that story. I did not know it was going to be the third Nomaris story. I actually thought it was going to be the second one. But no, something else came up for the second one. Eventually the gold tassel, not just mine, but one matching one that I gave to a friend, just disappeared. Hers, she lost. Mine just, I ended up using it like a keychain, and I just wore the gold right off the threads. So I finally gave up and threw that away. But I had this other one, which turned out to be pink. And I, as you can see, I was starting to turn this into a better tassel. I was thinking of doing some beads, maybe some rhinestones, and make this a fun tassel to wear. But then came this. And it just worked out. Because after Gazebo, where the magic carpet is stuck, turned pink, and then I found myself doing this painting of Gazebo. It's like, oh, pink. Of course, this is perfect, because the magic carpet has a little color change itself. So you see, even though it has taken, let's see, I got the idea for the magic carpet story back in, oh my god, I was working at Sailors, so it was the mid-80s. So that's how long it took for things to come around. So I know I'm getting ready to write the third book. It's all coming together now. The pink makes sense. So, yep, sometimes the seed is planted and then we don't make any movements on it. We stop thinking about it, and then things slip into place. Everything I'm going to need to do my research is now available. So, like, cool. I just have to work out a couple more things in the story, and then I can sit down and start writing. I'm not ready yet. But I am enjoying watching all the synchronicities, little things coming together to remind me that we're still on track, even if it's not visible at the moment. So it is time, I believe it is 5:30. I need to be thinking food, dinner, that kind of a thing. Before I get so hungry, I will just make something frozen, take the cheap, easy way out, and also you don't get enough nutrients that way, so I need to cook. So thank you for hanging out with me, all. Thank you for remembering to click the thumbs up. I appreciate your support. And tomorrow is Thursday. I'll be back tomorrow afternoon. I have done all the laundry. I have all the appointments in the morning. So I'll be back tomorrow. Oh my God, he's from the Czech. Okay. Well, look at the timing. All right. I'll be back tomorrow after lunch. I have a doctor appointment on the phone from noon to 1. Then I eat, and then I paint. So I'll see you tomorrow. Aloha, aloha. I'll give you hearts too. What? Give me my hearts back. Just give me one. Well, imagine more hearts. Give my love to Oinkness and everybody else here. Meg, if you're still here, mwah. Have a wonderful night, and I hope to see y'all tomorrow. Probably 2-ish, between 2 and 3 Eastern Standard Time.